Welcome to the Magic of Positive Thinking, a podcast hosted by Norb Savannasini, founder of AmericanEagle.com, and writer Al Edwards. Norb, this is show number 26. Here we are. How you doing today?
Amazing. Great, beautiful day. Thank God for this gift he gives us every day.
Absolutely.
And, after the storm we had yesterday and everything green today and nice and warm, I mean, we got to be thankful,
We sure do. And, even though we had some below zero cold a little bit in January, we've had a very mild winter.
Very mild, very nice year.
It's mid-March and we're almost to springtime.
Yep. I really like this global warming thing.
Yeah, exactly. It comes in handy in the winter.
Oh, yeah. Got to be positive,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Better than global cooling.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in the 70s, they talked about the ice age coming. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, and then the ozone.
Right.
And all those things that really make life miserable.
Right.
People that just dwell in negativity, thinking about all the bad things that could happen. And, I don't think this little round ball that's running around the sun really gives a darn, and I think it's insulting for us, this little people that basically are no more important to the universe than an ant.
Right.
Think that we can alter the weather, I think it's really kind of a real negative thing. Just look at it, enjoy it, thank God for this, and anybody that starts talking about all that stuff, you said, are you nuts? Because that's basically what they thrive on, just negativity.
Right on, brother. I'm with you there. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Well, friends, we've done, as I just mentioned, 26 shows, which has been a real delight to share the microphone with Norb. We actually do have two microphones, so when I say share the microphone, we don't have to use the same microphone.
I won't let him talk into mine.
Right, exactly. We do have a deluxe podcast studio. We have more than one mic, so
yeah.
But if you've listened to the show in the past, you may know that the entire podcast series that we've done has been based on a recording that has meant literally the world to Norb and myself. Norb was actually introduced it to me when I was a teenager, gave me a record of it.
Which I never got back.
Which he never got back, by the way. I'm still looking for it.
Yeah.
So I will get that back to you one day. But it's called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. And Earl Nightingale was a famous broadcaster and Chicago personality. A lot of people don't know he survived the attack at Pearl Harbor at the USS Arizona, which is really interesting. I'm sure that gave him a foundation of this kind of philosophy of life that he had, And we just thought there's a new version out that a young man named Evan Carmichael has taken the original recording from 1956 and done some AI animation to it and some different things to kind of bring it to life. Norb, let's talk about this again, covered again. How did you hear about The Strangest Secret and what has it meant to you all these years?
Well, one of the things that when I was a young guy, I went into the insurance business. And one of the things about the insurance business that's a good thing is that they play a lot of motivational records and they tell you a lot of motivational stories. And when I heard this really, really impressed me. And I want to tell people that listen to this, take time and listen to this because this is really just pure common sense about how to look at life. And, today we have a lot of problems. There's a lot of negativity in the world. We've talked about not listening to the news and we talked about, people. We live in a society where people actually find that being negative is financially great because if you talk about just nice things, nobody pays you.
Right.
So they find that if you can speak into the microphone and you're average or nice looking and you can tell people that the doom and gloom that's coming. You make a lot of money. So obviously, this is very rewarding to a lot of people. And The Strangest Secret just basically clears the air and just tells you, these people are really crazy.
Right.
They do it for the money, or they believe in this, and they're miserable, because anybody who thinks like this obviously has to be miserable. And I'm not saying there's no problems or anything like that in life, but overall, we've been given this gift of life. Everybody, every one of us is very unique. There's no one else but you.
Right.
And you have to appreciate it. And one of the most incredible things is that, when I saw this thing, when I first heard of it, it was in the 1960s where, everybody was polite, everybody was nice. There wasn't a drug problem. There weren't these seem problems that nobody can overcome. So everybody was really, really very competitive for good jobs. Today, from a positive angle, there's very little competition. Everybody's home. They work from home. They like to go and get pot and get high, and they're miserable. They listen to the news and, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? So what happens? You have a very, very bad element of very negative people,
Right.
and they don't do a good job. They don't follow through.
Right.
So today, for people who think positively, and this is probably the greatest thing that we can tell you, there's very little competition out there. So if you are positive, I think this is probably as great an era to become successful, both financially and emotionally, than there ever has been in the history of the United States.
You hit on something so important, I think, because I actually talk about this all the time. The bar is so low today of being able to, and I've talked about this before, like being able to make someone feel good or do a good job or accomplish something. The bar is so low today that if you just do average in life or your job or whatever, you're going to almost look like a superstar.
Yeah, yeah. You know what's interesting? I drove today about 3 hours, and I drove obviously on highways, and I cannot believe how much trash people throw out of their cars. And of course, I've been driving for many, many years, and there was never any trash on the highways. And I'm always thinking, what's the mentality of this person
Right.
that rolls down the window? And they have to roll it down today because everybody's got air conditioning in their car,
Right.
and heating, obviously. And they roll down the window and they throw trash out. Now, just can you think of anything more ugly, more negative
Right.
than doing that act? And we talked here about picking up a piece of paper, and I wish I had the time to go on the highway and spend 32 days picking up trash, but I can't. But the interesting part about it is that's part of being positive or negative. What is positive about rolling your window and throwing trash out of the car? I mean, who would do this? And maybe I'm very naive, but I can't believe that people actually do that, because it's just so, just keep it in the car until you get out, and then there's trash cans all over the
Right.
place. If you go into a fast food thing, the first thing they have is a trash can outside, which is really nice when
Yeah.
you think about it. So you don't have to throw the trash. And how long are you in the car anyway? Most people in the car maybe 30 minutes,
Right.
and they got to throw trash out.
Right.
So that's part of the psyche of having a society that's positive or negative. And going back to today, like you say, the bar is so low
Yeah.
that if you don't throw trash out of the window, you're probably a heck of a lot better than these people that do this.
You don't throw trash out, and you're nice to people and do a good job at your job and take care of your yard. You're like a superstar today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, friends, what we're trying to say is that if you just want to succeed in life, just be a little above average, and you're going to be fantastic.
Today is phenomenal. Yeah,
that's funny. Well, this is a perfect segue. So let's dig into this, because talking about success, the Strangest Secret recording. And by the way, I want to bring this up too. This was recorded in 1956. The world was different in 1956. There's a lot of male-dominated language. He talks about men and he and all this other kind of stuff. Norb and I always tell people, when you listen to this, forget all that stuff. Listen to the message. The message is timeless.
Yeah, and you know, it's this is another thing about the negativity in today's society. Somebody, I don't know who these people are, but somebody decides that things are bad. Now, there's nothing wrong in this society saying about, you know, this is men will be successful doing this. Well, back in the 1950s, you know, there was the family structure was a little different. The man went out and worked, and the woman, not because she had to, but they stayed at home and raised kids and took care of the house. And a lot of it was because obviously the taxes were a lot less, and they didn't need the woman to pay the taxes. So so she stayed home and raised kids. And basically, you know, there's nothing anti-female by saying this man can do this. In fact, there is a section where he mentions that if a woman wants to be a housewife and she's happy being a housewife, you know, that's perfectly okay. And back then, it was a very normal thing to do that
Yeah.
a woman would be a housewife. You know?
Right. So, exactly. So, the world's a little different today, quite a bit different. So, what we're trying to say, friends, as you listen to this recording, don't get hung up on the pronouns he, she, he, more than she, whatever. Listen to the message, because the message goes all the way back to the Roman emperors and the Bible and everyone else in between, and Mark Twain and everyone. The message is timeless.
Absolutely. It's just something that it's probably, if you listen to it and you can do what Al just said, ignore all these modern things that you shouldn't say or you should say. Just listen to the message. The message is incredible. And it has helped me tremendously. I know it's helped Al. And you know, like in this segment we're going to show, I mean, it's helped literally millions of people all over the world. And when you think about it, how many people have really done this? So here's this guy that cut a record. He sold over 1 million long play records. And for the young people that don't know what a long play record is, it's a record that played for like 30 minutes on each side. And this guy sold 1 million of these. It's the first time that anybody sold 1 million records that was not a popular tune.
Yeah, music.
So it was a record. And Americans just ate this up. They really believed in all this positiveness, which today is missing in our society.
Right.
And all we're trying to do is just awaken the people that this does work.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. It works.
Absolutely. Well, let's dig. That's perfect. Thank you. Let's dig into this a little bit. So he starts the recording by talking about that everyone, most people at least in life, they want to, when they start out in life, they want to be successful. And he talks about, you know, by the age of 25, everyone wants to be successful, but by the age of 65, I believe 1 in 4 will be so-called successful. And then he gets into saying it's because of goals. It's because of focusing on what you want in your life and going for it, as opposed to just kind of wandering through life. And he talks about the definition of success. And he says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And friends, we talk about this all the time. We're not talking about just money success. A lot of people equate, right, money with success. We're talking about success, anything you want to achieve or be, you know, bring into your life in abundance. That's success. So when he says success is a progressive realization of a worthy goal, money could be one, but it could also be art or roller skating or painting or music instrument, whatever it happens to be. So what does that mean to you, Norb? Success is the progressive.
You know, it goes back to the Declaration of Independence. You know, the men that created the United States of America did something that no people in history ever did. They actually had a declaration to create a country that is dedicated to the pursuit of happiness. Now, just think about that. Be happy. You know, when you go to a movie theater and you see a nice movie that makes you happy, you feel good. and you come out of it and you're positive.
Hmm.
You go to a movie that's sad, it makes you sad. So basically, when they said to pursue happiness, they didn't mean whatever somebody else decided you should do, whatever makes you happy. And like Al says, I'm not knocking money. I mean, success, a lot of people tie in success with money, but it isn't. It's just to be happy. I know people, I have a place in the country, and they're very, very happy people, and they really don't have money, but my God, they know everything about birds and wasps and all kinds of things that I'm totally ignorant about.
Hmm.
And they're happy, and they've achieved this success in areas that I'm totally ignorant about. And you know, I'm no better or worse than they are, but they found how to be happy, and
Right.
that's what the Declaration of Independence is, which was revolutionary. It still is, by the way. Nobody has really imitated it, and right now we have a situation that this isn't practice in this country like it used to be in the 50s.
Hmm. Exactly. And, with that quote of success, that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal, notice that it says the progressive realization. So, in other words, you don't have to wait until you get the result to be successful. You are successful on the journey. If you are progressing towards a worthy goal, you are already a success.
Absolutely, and we beat everybody to death by mentioning Thomas Edison, but the worthy realization of a goal was to get that light to light up, and he found 3,000 ways not to do it, but that was the beauty of it, is that he learned how to do it, and by pursuing this goal he had. And a lot of people don't reach whatever they really wanted to, but as long as you're trying to do it, you feel good. You just feel good.
If you're on your way
Yeah,
towards something worthwhile, you're already a success.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a section, something that Norb particularly loves, I know, and I do too. Earl Nightingale talks about what happens to people with no goals in life, no one who is progressively realizing a worthy ideal. And he says that having no goals is like a ship without a captain or a crew. So I know that's your favorite analogy in this.
Well, it's true. It's we're going to talk about in the next podcast about driving a car. And when you get in a car, you better know where you're going. I mean, if you want to go to the grocery store, you think about, well, what grocery store do I want to go? And what do I want to buy? And how am I going to get there? And at the parking lot, am I going to have parking space? And will be near the entrance. A lot of people want to be near the entrance. Yeah, basic. We do everything for goals. We get up in the morning. Some of us take a shower, some of us don't, and they take it at night. But everything is a goal in life. And if you just think of doing just the right thing, you can't help but become successful.
Now, why does a ship without a captain and a crew wind up sinking or crashing into something?
Because it won't get out of
The
the
harbor.
harbor. Yeah, it just it doesn't know where to go. The rudder keeps going back and forth, and it crashes, and it's crazy, but it's true. You go to any of these fast food places, and you see these young people, serving food, and a lot of them are just working there, and they look into space. They don't really care. You just know they're there just to make the money per hour, and then you meet a lot of times you meet this, usually a young person who is just happy to see you, or at least he puts up an act, or she does, and you feel good. You just say, "Oh, wow, this is nice." And can I help you? Can I? What else can I get you? And okay, thank you very much. And here's what you ordered, and it doesn't cost anything. And I can tell you from experience that that person is going to be successful. I don't know what's
Absolutely.
going to happen with his or her life, but that person will be successful, guaranteed. It's just it takes an effort of just be nice, you know.
And why is that person like that and others, most of, 9 out of 10 are not, but that one person is that way? I'll give you an example. So the little town.
Well, the reason is because they haven't listened to the Strangest Secret.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's right. We need to get them
yeah, right.
a download on their phone of The Strangest Secret. If we give them a record, they wouldn't even know what to do with it. But in the little town I live in, Sandwich, Illinois, there's a McDonald's, and there's a young lady. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is the most upbeat, positive, excited person, and it is absolutely infectious. When I go through there and get my coffee or whatever I'm doing, I feel better because Elizabeth took my money.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Talking about McDonald's, I had a neighbor who were very, very good friends with. They had two kids. One of them was a young gal who now is a grown woman, but she worked at a McDonald's while she was going to college, and she's to this day she has a great personality. Now, of course, she has a family and everything else, but McDonald's wanted to hire her to manage other McDonald's, and they even told her someday she could even own one. Now, she did not want to pursue that career, but the opportunity was there because she was positive. And this was in the maybe 70s. It's just amazing the opportunities that are there if you take the right attitude. That's all it takes.
And you hit it right there. And that's exactly the difference between the people who are just slugging along because they have to be there because they need money or whatever, and the persons who has a positive attitude. And this brings us right to the point. The name of the recording is called The Strangest Secret. It's called The Strangest Secret because nobody seems to know this except a very few people. And friends, are you ready? I hope you're sitting down. The strangest secret is that we become what we think about. Now, why is that strange? Because nobody talks about it. They don't teach it in school. It's not on billboards, which we've talked about putting on billboards, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
But we become what we think about. That was life-changing for you, wasn't it, Norb?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting is that when you start thinking like that, you do become positive. And today, unluckily, there's a tremendous amount of animosity between people that have these thoughts. And I'm not saying what's right or what's wrong, but there shouldn't be animosity between thinking. I mean, we have a God-given gift that we have the ability to think. We talked about this before. You know, birds are programmed, animals are programmed. They do everything the same. They
Robots.
know robots. We are not robots. We can think. We also have to respect other people's opinion. And the problem is that a lot of people have these opinions that they want to shove down your throat, and which it's a negative thing to do if it interrupts your ability to think in the way you want to think. So, I think that one of the greatest things you can do as a person is just, let people think whatever they want to think, as long as they don't harm anybody. What's the danger?
Right. That old expression, when it comes to freedom in our country, your right to swing your fist ends at the tip of my nose.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about, you become what you think about. Let's talk about some of the quotes that Earl Nightingale mentioned in the recording that I know, Norb, you love. Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor, said, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." Disraeli said this: "Everything comes if a man will only wait. A human being with a settled purpose must accomplish it, and nothing can resist a will that will even stake existence for its fulfillment." And Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, "If you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve a positive result." And then Earl Nightingale says a person who's thinking about a concrete and worthwhile goal is going to reach it because that's what he's thinking about. Conversely, the person who has no real goal doesn't know where he's going and whose thoughts must be therefore thoughts of confusion, anxiety, fear, and worry, and thereby create a life of frustration, fear, and anxiety, worry. If he thinks about nothing, he becomes nothing. And then he talks about that our minds are like the soil. And I know that's your favorite. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, your mind is basically like the soil. Whatever you plant in that mind, it will give you back. And, if you plant, and it's the strangest secret, nightshade, which is a poison, the soil will give you back nightshade. And if you plant corn or wheat or something that you can eat and enjoy life with, it will give you that back. But you must plant it. So if you look at your mind as this farmland you have, that we each have this, and it's every human mind is probably more important than the biggest farm in the world because you can do anything with that. If Thomas Edison didn't conceive that light, that he wanted to have, he didn't want any more candles. He wanted that light to be there at night. I don't know if we still have one. I really don't know. People say, "Oh yeah, somebody would have invented it." Well, maybe yes, maybe no, but it took that one person with that mind to achieve that. And I'm sure he had detractors that were incredible, and it's just, again, he saw that he had the vision, he did it. And today, there's a tremendous amount of people that for some reason or other want to cloud people's minds with unnecessary things that we can't do anything about anyway.
Right.
Okay. I mean, the world is the world. Today yesterday there were tornadoes in Illinois and Indiana, and tomorrow there'll be tornadoes someplace else, and there'll be earthquakes in California and in Greece and
Japan.
In Japan. Yeah, Japan had one yesterday.
Mm.
And what's interesting is that, so what? That's just part of life, okay? And some people are experts in earthquake repairing, and that's their vision, how to repair things after, the storms hit. Great,
Right.
So don't look at it as a negative, take it as a fact of life and work towards repairing it. Repairing things is as important as creating things.
Absolutely.
That's maintenance. And maintenance, brother, is as important as after you get it done.
Human nature, Mother Nature is going to do what Mother Nature is going to do, right?
Exactly.
And that's why he says, if you jump off a building, you'll always go down, never up.
Yeah, right.
Likewise, when you plant a seed in your mind and nurture it, it must grow and bear fruit. And Earl Nightingale says, picture yourself as already having achieved the goal and see yourself doing the things you will be doing when you've achieved your goal. Don't worry about how you're going to achieve your goal. Leave that to a power greater than yourself. All the answers will come in due time and just at the right time.
Yeah. Going back, if you think of what makes you happy, there's a picture in my office actually, with Henry Ford and Thomas Edison fishing in a little tiny lake. And they're both actually dressed pretty well.
In suits.
I don't think in suits, but a shirt and pants. And
yeah.
But the interesting part about it, these are two guys that were world famous, probably had all the money they ever needed, but they were happy in this little fishing hole, trying to get a fish. And, people don't realize the pleasure in doing those little things that make you happy. And just concentrate on that. And if you listen to The Strangest Secret, which I hope everybody does, because God, it's a great thing. And again, don't get hung up on the things that Al recommended about being politically correct or saying that a man, and it was 1950s, so
right.
It's just incredibly timeless, that this message is still as important today, more so important today than back then.
I agree. That's actually true. It is more important today because the number or the median average of people who were optimistic and positive was much higher then than it is today.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
it's even more needed today.
Absolutely.
More than ever.
Yeah.
No question. By the way, I think in that picture with Henry Ford and Thomas Edison, Harvey Firestone is with
Harvey
them, too.
Firestone was in there too. Yeah. Right.
Another name you may recognize if you always go over and look at your tires, Firestone.
Yeah. Right.
Another name. So, well, friends, we are going to put a link to this kind of 21st century version of The Strangest Secret. Again, it is the original recording, but a young man named Evan Carmichael actually worked with Diana Nightingale, Earl Nightingale's wife. Earl Nightingale died in the late 80s, but this young man worked with Diana Nightingale and through artificial intelligence, AI, animated the recording and put some really cool film clips and everything. So we're going to put a link to that. Please watch it and enjoy it and apply it to your life. And, we just never get tired talking about The Strangest Secret. And I think, Norb, a lot of young people now know that recording because of this show. And I got to tell you, I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, so am I. And there's one thing that is very hard to do in life is to really be positive 100% of the time. And obviously that's not something that is possible. But I have found that whenever I do get down, which happens to all of us, I listen to this thing. I have listened to this thing so many times. I tell you, I'm even embarrassed to tell you, but I listen to it. It's like, a drug in a way, a good drug, because it all of a sudden you say, oh my God, this is it. This is true.
It truly is a drug because it changes your brain chemistry when you listen to it.
Yeah, really.
You literally feel better when you listen to it.
Absolutely.
So, well, Norb, again, I thank you for giving me this recording when I was about 16 or 17 years old.
Well, you're welcome. I wish I could do it to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I've grown and evolved as a person, the recording never changes, but what I hear changes because I'm a different person. And that's really neat about that recording.
Yeah. And all the things are very basic, but they're factual. And, the beauty of The Strangest Secret is that, you can read, we quoted Marcus Aurelius and a lot of the old philosophers, and they get very complicated in explaining things. And then you have philosophical people discussing what he really meant. This thing, what this guy talks about. It's simple, it's straight to the point, brings it home, and it's just beautiful, really beautiful.
It really is. And what is the strangest secret, friends? We become what we think about.
Right.
So, Norb, thank you for another wonderful show.
I thank you, Al. It's always a pleasure.
And friends listening, we hope you enjoyed this show, and we hope that you get stuff out of this show. A lot of people have said they've enjoyed listening to it over the last 2+ years, and we're gonna keep going. How does that sound, Norb?
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks again for listening. For Norb Savanasini, this is Al Edwards, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
God bless. Okay.